Good evening and welcome to your day 3 of project management discussion. You're all welcome. I can see Chiamaka John, you're welcome. I can see Rose, then Messi is here. Just about 4 of us that are here. Well, I hope others will join us soon. So let me just quickly share my screen. Yes, I've shared with us the project management plan document. I've shared that with us on the platform, so please feel free to pick it up from the platform to go through it. Share my screen. Okay. If I do this, it's going to take a lot of time, so let me stop sharing and take it to that slide. Yeah. Okay, so I'm having a little bit of power supply challenge at the office. I don't know what's going on. It has been like that for a while that we're having this same issue. So, but then nonetheless, it's not going to stop us. So the schedule for the time, I think it's just 5 minutes. We are 5 minutes
late.
Beyond time. Yes, above time. So let's start right away. Yeah, so last weekend, which happens to be on Saturday, we were able to go through, I think, about 14 processes in planning. But at some point, we forgot to record, and we're just going to run through some of the parts that wasn't captured in the recording for last week. Then immediately we are done with that recap, then we jump straight up to the processes we are about to take today. So our plan was for us to take the 24 processes. We took 14. Then we say we are going to take 8. 8 plus 14 is going to give us 22. So that by weekend, we'll take the 2 and add it to the 10 processes involved when it comes to executing our project. And we're able to look at it. So we planned and we saw through the processes involved in integration, just 1 process. We look at scope, 4 process, our schedule, we look at 5 processes, our cost, we look at 3 processes, quality, 1 process. I think that's where we stop. So today we are going to start from resource processes. We'll go to communication, we'll look at risk, the 5 processes in risk. Then procurement and stakeholders engagement is where we'll call it a day when it comes to procurement. Yes, I think that's what we did last week. So we were able to look at the integration, and we say it is designed for it to follow in a sequence manner. Yes, meaning that, for example, if we take a process of estimating costs, it means that before we have taken that process of estimating costs, we have actually know our activity, because you can only do estimating costs when you know the activity you are to carry out. Just speak, for example, you want to go to the market. Yes, as you are going to the market, you need to itemize all of the things you need at home. It is when you have itemized the things that you need at home, that's when you'll be able to account or assign a figure for each particular cost of things you want to buy. If you carry 10,000 naira to the market, what it means is that anything you see that 10,000 can buy, you just buy and come back home. It means you didn't plan for it. So what it means is that we must do what? We must estimate our activities first before we can start to estimate costs. So they follow in sequential manner. That is to say, one thing must happen first before the other one happens. You understand? So that's the logical flow. So when it comes to integration, we have development of our project management plan. Yes, that plan is a document that tells us how our project is going to go. When you pick up that plan, you will have the work that you are going to carry out in that project. When you pick up that plan, you will see the budget of that project. When you pick up that plan, you will see the duration for that project, and it's usually under the schedule. But just to checkmate, to be sure that I'm not just speaking to myself, please, can you all hear me? You can unmute your mic and confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right.
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear
Okay,
you.
beautiful. Beautiful. So let's continue. So we're able to look at how we can develop our project management plan. We say we need a charter because it contains information. The charter contains information about the project, how much we are going to spend, what's the budget, what's the duration, what's the how much we are going to spend, which is the budget, what's the duration of that project, what is the cost. What the charter just tells us everything about that project, and we'll be able to now distribute every of this information into our plan. Now, what do we need for us to be able to develop that project management plan? We say we need expert judgment. Expert judgment is we're going to ask someone who has already done similar projects about that particular project so that they can be able to give us an insight. Yes. So we don't make the same mistake that they have made when they were also running that project. We're also able to look at brainstorm, where we say, okay, we come together and we begin to look at what possible approach we can use in running that project. And we can come up with experts, yes, subject matter experts, SMEs, where maybe they are expert in risk. They tell us, okay, this project one I want to do, look at the risk involved on this project and all of that. So that's brainstorming, you know, where people come together and they brainstorm, they come up with ideas and all of that. And once that happens, we call it a focus group meeting because we focus on identifying risk and we're able to look at it properly and identify all of the risk that's going to happen on that project, because all of us are risk experts. Then we look at interpersonal team skills, interpersonal team skills that we need to deploy into our project. In as much as you are working with people, there's going to be conflicts. Yes, people will give different opinions and those opinions may be conflicting. For example, we made an example of, I want to fry puff puff. Yes, somebody is telling me that I should get Indomie seasoning, I should get palm oil for puff puff. You know, you begin to raise your eyebrow. As how now? When somebody stand up in the meeting and say, hey, let's use palm oil to do puff puff, you begin to ask, are you okay? But somebody may just come and say, no, we're not going to use palm oil, we're going to use groundnut oil, and we're going to use flour. You understand? So those are conflicting opinions. Yeah. So how do you manage it as a project manager? How do you manage conflicting opinions? And that's where interpersonal skills, interpersonal team skills comes into play. And we say, since you are working with people, since you are going to be you have people in your team, and as you are having people in your team, you are going to be communicating, you have stakeholders, you are going to be communicating to them. You will need to know how to facilitate discussion, lead discussion from beginning to the end, productive discussion, very, very important. And that's why we encourage each and every one of us who are here, who are not taking public speaking class, please, we encourage you to join that class, that session, public speaking and presentation. And you can do all of these things in a meeting. When everybody is in that meeting, you facilitate discussion, because meeting gives us a bigger picture of how our project is going. So these were the things we were able to look at last week. And we ran through again, we went through that in that your project management plan, we have a summary level or detailed, and it is composed to one or more subsidiary plans. So if you look at that your project management plan, which happens to be the process we are focusing on right now, there are other subsidiary plans in that document. Now, those subsidiary plans, you may want to call it, you call it based on segments. You want to call it, maybe you want to call the one for cost. That will help you to see how you are going to manage costs. You want to call it the cost management plan. You understand? Maybe you also want to look at the one that you call the schedule management plan. Schedule management plan is helping you to see that, okay, this is how long your project is going to be. Cost management plan is helping you to see how much you are going to spend on that project. You understand? When you flip through, you also see how you are going to be communicating with your stakeholders, with your team, the kind of information you are going to be giving them, and all of that. What's the point, guys? Your project management contains small individual plans, subsidiary plans that tell you how your project is going to go. And we're also able to mention that, please do not execute your project until your plan is baseline. We mentioned it. The word baseline means approve. Yes. What are the 3 documents that your sponsor needs to approve? Scope baseline, where you have told us how all of the work that is going to be done in that project. Scope baseline. Scope means work. Yes. So where the sponsor has approved all of the work that is going to happen in your project. The second one is schedule baseline, where the sponsor has approved the schedule time for that your project. Cost baseline, where he has approved the money you are going to spend on that project. So these 3 things must compulsorily be approved before you can execute, before you can start anything. You understand? So we now began our planning process properly, and we started with collecting requirements. How do we collect requirements? We went ahead and say we are going to, of course, use expert judgment, brainstorming, we benchmark, we prototype. I think this is where we didn't capture the recordings. So all of the things we have said happened in week 2 that we didn't record. So not until we got to collect requirements. So at collecting requirements, we were able to go through expert judgment and so on. So if you miss the first part of the week 2 discussion, we have just covered it in the week 3 discussion. Now let's go straight up to where we stopped last week. But before we begin where we stopped last week, we just want to make a little correction on our schedule. Error, and we are going to make a correction on that error right away before we make progress. Yes. So I think this is it. Yes, this was it. Let me see if I can stop so that I can reshare the page so that we can all look at it together. Just a moment, let the thing come down. I want so that I'll be able to type. Yes, good. So let me stop sharing. Yo, where do we schedule? Yes. So yes, just a simple error that we made so that we all can go back to our classwork and we correct it. Yes. So last week we look at flexible simple schedule. Of course, the first one is correct. The one we did, the rigid schedule, we call it rigid because there was no flexibility on it. So we look at our flexible simple schedule. So now let's look at what we did last week. So when you look at this schedule, we have a float. That's what differentiates it from the original one that we have. Let me try to zoom. Yes. We have a float. So we have activity A for 4 days and a float of 7 days for activity A. Then we say our activity is starting on the 16th of March 2026. Then now the new heading is now early start date, early finish date, latest start date, and latest finish date. That is the new items you will find when you are running a flexible simple schedule that contains a float. So we have our activity, duration, float, early start date, early finish date, latest start date, latest finish date. So our activity A is for 4 days. That's the duration of our activity. And it has a float of 7 days. And we say that activity is starting on the 16th of March 2026. So we said that we are not going to include our non-working days, which happens to be Saturdays and Sundays. So our working day is from Monday to Friday. And I think we'll also be able to mention that 8 hours a day is what we work for. So we don't work for 24 hours in a day. So we only work 8 hours in a day. So now let's look at it. So our activity has how many days, guys? Activity A has how many days?
4 days.
4 days.
4 days. Beautiful. Has 4 days. So our early start date, meaning the day where we're supposed to start. Our early start date, what date is that?
16 March.
Of March 2026.
16th March of 2026. So if we start, let's start counting now. If we start on the 16th, day 1, 17th, day 2, 18th, day 3, 19th, day 4. That is our 4 days, not so?
Yes.
Yes. So the schedule says we have a float of 7 days. Now, this is where we made mistake. Our float starts counting from the next day.
20.
So after 19, which we have exhausted the first 4 working days we're supposed to use, our float now start counting from the next day. So the next day is on 20th.
Friday, 2020.
Yes. So we now start counting our floats, which is 7 days. So 20th is a Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes. Let's check our calendar. Let's check our
Yes.
calendar to be sure that what we have posted is correct.
Yes, Friday.
It's Friday.
Yes, 20th is Friday, right?
Yes.
Yes. So 21st is a Saturday. Is our non-working days. We are not going to count.
Yeah. 22nd is a Sunday.
Second is a Sunday. Our non-working days we are not going to count.
We are counting
So
from
23rd is a Monday. So 23rd Monday, day 2. 24th, day 3. 25, day 4. 26, day 5. 27 is what date? 27 is what date?
Friday.
Is it a Saturday?
Friday.
It's Friday.
Friday. So day 27 is our day 6.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Then day 28 is a weekend, Saturday, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
29 is Sunday, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Then 30th is
Is a
Monday.
Yes.
That's our day what? Day 6.
That's a day 7.
That's the 7.
Day 7.
Yes.
Okay, so 30th is our day
Yes.
7.
Yes.
Okay, so that means what is here is wrong.
Okay.
So our day 7 is supposed to stop on Monday, but that's 30th. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Friday 20th, Monday 23rd, 2 days, Tuesday 24th, 3 days, Wednesday 25th rather, 4 days, Thursday 26th, 5th day, Friday 27th, 6th day, then Monday 30th, 7th day. So this is wrong. So it's 30th, not 31st. Yes. Do we get it?
Yes.
Do we get it? Is it clear?
Yeah. Because that day we didn't take calendar.
Just a
we
moment
just
so that I can
assumed
hear
it
you
is.
properly. Yes, go ahead and ask what you're asking.
I said that day we didn't use calendar. We just assumed a random day. We just use 16 as a random day. That's why we got 30. It's not like it's wrong. We didn't use calendar that day.
Oh, okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Just counted the things.
Oh,
Yes.
I get. I get. Yes. But for the float, I think
what we did, we started counting from the early finish date. We
7
started
days.
counting, yes, and we started counting from that day. I think Rose was trying to point that to us, but I don't know how we missed it. So basically, that's what I wanted us to look at on this schedule. So we can now go back to our work, our class work, and just try to adjust the little errors that we made there. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
All right. So let's dive back into our discussion for today. So let me stop sharing this. Yes, we can all mute our mic so that we don't get echo from behind. So we stopped at quality the last time, and so we're going to start continuing from plan resource management. Start for week 3. Plan resource management. What are resources available for you? The goal of planning resources is for you to validate the available resources for the project. Don't deceive yourself when you are running a project that everything that you need will be provided for you. If you think like that, you will run into trouble. It's a lie. Not everything that will be available for you in your project. If that is the case, that means the project itself not supposed to get budget. What it's supposed to have is, let's just do work. Once we do work, anywhere we will stop. All the amount we will spend, we'll just put it together and submit in a report. No. Remember that there is a baseline for spending. We said it not so long ago, that you must baseline. In terms of cost, in terms of schedule, you understand, all has to be baseline. So the goal of planning resources is to validate the resources available in your project. What are resources? Yes, what are resources? I've mentioned it before. I said when you think of resource, think of 3 things. What are resources? You can use the chat box. What are resources? What are resources? What are resources? I'm waiting on the chat box. What are resources? What are resources? Can you all hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
We
All
can hear you.
right. Yes. So I'm asking you, what are resources? So I'm going to use chat box. I said it now. 3 things must come to mind. Labor, that is the people, equipment, and material. Please don't forget. Labor, equipment, and material. These are what we look at as resources. We're saying go and validate how many people will the organization assign to you for this project. How many people will follow you work? For you to be able to validate this, you don't need to do it by yourself. You need to involve the MD, you need to involve the CEO, as the case may be. You also need to involve the HR. That's human resource department. You need to involve them because they are the ones that are to tell you who is available. So let's say maybe in your project, you need 10 persons. Then you now begin to look inward. How many people can we get inward? You understand? Who do you think will be useful for this project? Oh, well, I think Rose will be very useful for us in this project. By the time we brainstorm, we'll be able to come up with maybe few other persons. Maybe we need 10 persons in that project. Me and the MD, we have sat down with the HR. We have been able to withdraw like 6 persons from other projects. Then I need 10 persons. And I went back to the sponsor. I said, I still need 4 more people. And the sponsor said, you don't source for 6 people inside now. Please look for the remaining 4. I will say, to if we look for that remaining 4 inside the existing project, it is going to affect our daily operation. Then when that happens, we're now beginning to look outside. You understand? We begin to look outside for those remaining 4 persons. And that's why anytime you go for interview, please always ask this question after your interview. Is this employment? Is this advert? Is this a job advert? Is it a projectized? Is it projectized? Is it based on projects? What that means is that when you are done on that project, you are going to go. You don't finish. So let's say they are going to pay you 250K on that project, and you already have a job that is paying you 195K. And the duration of that project is 250K. Will you leave your job that is paying you 195K that is guaranteed for the next 2-3 years to go and do job of 250K for 10 months? That's one thing you want to check. You must make sure you check all of these things. So when you go for recruitment, please ask the organization to know what type of project they are running, if it's projectized. You understand? What about equipment? You will sit down with the MD CEO, with the equipment manager. How far? Equipment where they, which one no day? And the equipment manager will begin to tell you, okay, look, there are some equipment that are in other projects, but they don't use it every now and then. Then you'll be able to come up with, maybe meet with the other project manager in those other projects, find out, when do you use this equipment, when don't you use it? Then when you do all of these things, you'll be able to have some equipment available for you in your project. Because the goal of every organization is to save costs. You understand? The goal of every organization is to save costs. It's not to keep buying new materials or new equipment for new projects. It's to reduce costs. And the idea is not to even increase price. Let's say you have a cost price. The idea is not for you to increase price, for you to make profit. No, the idea is for you to reduce cost. So that's what organizations are doing. You understand? So they want to look out for where they can save cost and ensure that they are able to come up with what we call resource calendar. That resource calendar now tells you when resources are going to be available. Let's say, for example, in our organization, Zainab is an accountant. And we can ask Zainab to work on project A, project B, project C. So what that means is that Zainab is supposed to be on all of the 3 projects. So if I need Zainab to be in my project, I need to be sure of where Zainab is on project A and project B. Let's say, for example, my own project is project C. And Zainab is involved in project A and B. So I need to find out when Zainab is going to be available for project C, when she's not available for project C, meaning she's available when she's available for project A and when she's available for project B. When you put all of these things, you come up with a timetable we call resource calendar. That resource calendar tells me when Zainab is going to be available on my own project, which happens to be project C. When we're in secondary school that year, we used to have roster, sweeping roster. They'll say Monday. On Monday, so people are going to sweep. On Tuesday, so people are going to sweep. On Wednesday, so people are going to sweep. You understand? So we used to have a roster. Even when we were doing our orientation camp, I think we used to have a roster for those who were going to assist those who are cooking in the kitchen, right? Yes, we used to have that roster. So it's the same thing in projects. You have what we call resource calendar. So what are you going to use in planning your resources? The latter part of your resources is the human part, which happens to be the labor. Thank God, almost every one of us here is taking human resource management course. So in your project, you plan for labor. How do you plan for labor? You identify all of the activities that is going to happen in your projects. Activity 1, who do I prefer? Maybe I prefer a lady with a first degree and maybe 1 year experience. You understand? Okay, for activity 2, okay, maybe I prefer a guy with a Microsoft skill and maybe ordinary national diploma is enough as a qualification. So the next thing you want to do is you want to begin to assign all of these activity to each of these persons that you need. Who will be the person that they will report to? Do you see how we are beginning to move to supervision now? From looking for the person that we need to assigning responsibility to now looking for who that person is going to report to. And that's where supervision comes in. So this is how you come up with your organogram in your organization. Organogram is a flow chart that tells you how who is heading each department, who is overall, and who is the lead person. Let's look at this this organogram chart. Let's look at this. If you look at your screen, you will see that John Smith is the project sponsor of this project. When you look down, you will see that Eduardo is the project manager. And there are 3 persons who are reporting to Eduardo. Claire is reporting to Eduardo. Claire is an IT team lead. Taylor is reporting to Eduardo. Taylor is a marketing lead. Clay is reporting to Eduardo. Clay is a training manager. And when you look at Claire, under Claire, which is IT team lead, he has 2 other persons who are reporting to him. Development team are reporting to Claire. Testing team are also reporting to Claire. You understand? So in organogram, this is how it's going to be. How who and who reports to who. Remember, we are looking at plan resource management, and we say the highest part of your resource is the human being, which is the labor. Do you see how we are now planning for our human resource management? So let's make progress. Now let's look at this simple metrics table. There's another way for us to draw an organogram, and that way is a matrix. When you look at this table, is a matrix, is a responsibility assignment matrix table. Yes, matrix means table. This is I think this is a 5 by 4 matrix table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 4. 5 by 4 matrix table. We call it responsibility matrix table. Yeah, in this matrix table, we have activities. What are the activities we have in this matrix table? What are the activities we have? What are the activities that we have? What are the activities we have? I only take my attendance through the chat box. Rose has marked in her attendance.
We have
What are
design, test, and
We have
implement.
design, test, implement.
Good. So that means we have 3 activities, right? Design, test, and implement.
Yes, sir.
Good. Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
when you now look at the metrics table again, you will see something like R, you see something like A, you see something like C, you see something like I. What does that mean? Yes. These activities, it shows those signals shows who is accountable, who is responsible, who is responsible for implementation, who is to be informed. So let's look at it. R means responsible. A means accountable. C means consult. Who are we going to consult? I means inform. Now let's look at it properly. Responsible means the person that will do the work. Responsible means the person that will carry out that work. Accountable means the person that will do what? The person that will seek his opinion. The one who is responsible for producing the deliverables, the package, and the approved signed work. That's the person who is accountable. Then C means consult. Consult in this case means the person that we need to carry along. Someone who has input on that work, or who needs to make a decision. Are we together? So we have said responsible means the person that will do the work. Accountable means the person that will seek his opinion. That is to say, the person who is supposed to take decision, who is supposed to approve the final results. And we say consult means the person we need to carry along. Someone who has input to that work or to make decision. Inform means the person that we need to be informed of the decision or the results. Now let's look at the metrics properly. Who is responsible for design? Who is responsible for design?
Favor.
Good. Favor is responsible for design. Who is accountable for the design?
Titus.
The only one person that is
Titus.
responding.
Rose.
Titus. I'm not sharing your screen.
You cannot
Sir,
see my
Rose.
screen.
We can.
Okay, somebody said they cannot see my screen.
No, the screen is there.
Okay, fine. So who is accountable for the design?
Titles.
Favor.
Title.
Titus.
Okay, somebody is still calling
Okay,
favor.
Titus.
Okay, fine. I
Titus.
think you have corrected yourself. Who can be consulted in the design activities? Who can we
Eno.
consult?
No.
Eno.
Rose.
Eno Rose.
Good, beautiful. Eno and Rose can be consulted for design. So let's move to the next one. Who is responsible for testing?
Titles.
Titles is responsible for test.
For test.
Beautiful. Who needs to be informed?
Favor.
Favor.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Who needs to be consulted?
Eno.
No.
Eno.
Beautiful. Who is accountable for the testing?
Rose.
Rose.
Beautiful. Now let's move to implement. Who is responsible? Whose responsibility is to implement?
Eno.
Eno.
Beautiful. Eno is responsible for the implementation. Who needs to be informed?
Titles.
Titles.
Beautiful. The way you people are calling these titles, hope is not the one we are thinking of.
I wonder.
Okay. So who needs to be consulted
Favor.
for implementation?
Favor.
Beautiful.
Favor.
Who is accountable?
Rose.
Rose.
Aha, beautiful. So now let's look at it. Who is the most senior staff members among them? Now, for you to be able to look at, maybe for you to be able to deduce your answer, how many persons report directly to Rose? How many persons report directly to Rose? How many persons report directly to Rose?
Two people.
Two people. Who and who?
Two persons.
Titles.
Who? Who and who?
Favor and title. Favor and title.
Okay,
Favor
check
and
that
title.
again. Check again. One answer is correct, the other one is incorrect.
Okay. Favor and Eno.
Titles is accountable.
Okay.
Favor and Eno.
Favor and Eno.
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to design. Who is responsible for design?
Favor.
Favor.
Who is accountable for the design?
Titles.
So Titus and Favor, who is
Titles.
the most senior staff?
Titles.
Titus.
To Favor, right? Okay, fine. So now let's come back. Let's come back now. How many people report directly to
Favor is
Rose?
most senior. Favor is most senior.
Okay. So we need to get the meaning of. Let's get the meaning of those accounts again. Let's get the meaning, so that we'll be able to get it.
Sir, I think one person is reporting to Rose, sir.
Only one person. Okay,
Yes,
let's look at it again.
Okay.
Let's look at it again.
Okay, sir.
Aru means responsible, right?
Yes.
Responsible means the person that will do the work.
The work. Yes.
The person that will do the work.
Okay.
Now let's move to accountable. Accountable means the person will seek his opinion.
Definitely the best.
Okay.
Definitely the person.
Why the person in charge?
Yes, the person will seek his opinion.
So he knows
You
more
understand?
about the
Okay.
already.
That means
So this person is responsible for the final deliverable. So while Favor is carrying out the design,
Okay.
somebody needs to check Favor to ensure that the result that Favor is going to deliver is what is according to spec. So that is to say somebody is supervising Favor.
Okay.
Titles is
So beautiful. Title is supervising Favor.
Favor.
Good. So now let's go back to that question again.
okay.
I want to look at who is the most senior staff. That's what we're
Okay.
looking for. So how many people are reporting? So who is the most senior staff here? Who is the most senior staff?
Titles.
That is
Titus.
No.
Okay. Look at the metrics table
think it's-
again.
I think it's Eno, sir.
Look at
The
the
most-
metrics table again.
Senior is
The most
Rose.
senior.
Actually,
Who said that? Who
It's
said that?
Rose.
Who said the most,
Eno
who
is
said the most senior is Rose?
Yes.
Who said the
Because-
most senior is Rose?
It's Rose. Is the Rose that said it, sir.
Okay.
Eno
Alright.
is the senior.
Okay, Rose, tell us why you think Rose is the most senior staff member.
Because the rest are reporting to her.
Yes, so if you look at the metrics table, what thing can you point out to that shows that she's the most senior?
Okay.
Because
But I think it's because she's not
No, just hold on.
responsible for anything.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Allow Rose to respond. Let's do it one after the other so that we can maintain a decorum. Yes, Rose, go ahead. Why do you think you are the most senior staff members?
because both of them have to consult. The rest are reporting to them. They consult to them to know what to do, how to carry out the projects.
Okay, thank you. Next person. Yes, next person. Yes, somebody was trying to.
Okay,
yes,
sir.
go ahead.
I think because Favor is responsible for design, and responsible means someone that is carrying out the work.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, Titus is responsible for test, so that means he has the work to do. Also, Eno is responsible for implementation. So all of them are responsible for one or two things, but Rose is only accountable. So she's the overall supervisor.
Okay, so you're also accepting that Rose is the overall supervisor. Thank you very much for that. Any other input? Any other input? Any other inputs? Let me do something. Yes. Let me do a highlighter so that we can all see it. So all of us have agreed that responsible means the person that is going to carry out the work, not so?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes, good. So now
Yes, sir.
let's look at this matrix table. Just follow what I'm drawing. Follow what I'm drawing. I'm just trying to explain what I think can you see this? Can you see what I've drew?
Yes.
Can you see what I've been drawn on the
Yes.
Yes.
on the screen?
Yes,
Beautiful.
you can see that.
So it means Favor is going to work. It means Titus is going to work. It means Eno is also
is-
going to work.
Yes.
But when you look at Rose, there is no
Yeah.
is no
It's not responsible for any work.
So this automatically translates that everybody is reporting to Rose.
Rose.
Yes. But the two people who report directly to Rose is who? Titus and
and-
Eno.
And
Titus
then,
Do we get
and Favor.
yes?
Yes.
yes, that's
Do we get it?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the most the junior staff here is who?
Favor.
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 Beautiful. We have gotten it. We have gotten it. So are we seeing how we are assigning responsibility metrics? What this table is telling us is that if there is a delay in any activity, we can easily know who is delaying it. No, be so? That's what it
Yes.
is. Yes, yes, that's what this metric, and that's why I like it. Me, I like the metrics table. Shebi, you say you know one work, no wahala. Favor don't finish. She don't do her design finish. Titus just a look at. Titus was just looking. Finally, the result came out. The result was bad. Who is to take accountability? Titus, not so. Yeah, so we can
Yes.
tell. Yes, we can tell who failed. You understand? Yeah. So that's how we assign responsibility metrics table when it comes to our resources. So you can also do that for the rest of your of the resources. You understand? So imagine testing is to be done since last week. With the responsibility metrics table, who will be delaying the testing? Who will be delaying the testing?
Favor.
Testing is to be done.
Favor.
Titus, sir, Titus.
Good. Titus will be delaying the
Okay.
testing. Yes. Good. So now let's move ahead. So when you plan resources, as you get your resource, you plan it. It may contain informations like this. Identify. Okay, please, who is the most senior staff? Okay, the most senior staff is Rose. Yes. So when you are done with your plan resource management output, this is what you are going to get. You are going to get identification of resources, acquiring resources, role and responsibility, project organizational chart, project team resource management, training, team development, resource control, recognition plan. These are the things you are going to get when you are done with plan resource management. Now let's move to the next one. Estimate activity resources. Now you know the resources available to you. You have met with the MD, the CEO, the HR, and the equipment manager in your organization. You know what is available. Based on what is available, you have 15 activities to be carried out on that phase. How many people do you think you need for activity 1? How many people should be assigned to activity 4? What equipment and how many equipment do you need for activity 3, and so on? When you do that, we say you are estimating activity resources. How do you do that? How do you estimate activity resources? Again, so how do we estimate activity resources? How do we do that? We have been able to say that we need 3 persons for this particular activity. We need 1 person for this. So how do we do about it? Of course, expert judgment comes in again. Please, guys, can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear
sir.
me?
Yes, you can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you,
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So expert judgment, we all know what expert judgment is. Someone who has managed similar projects is going to be very useful. One thing about experts is that these people, we are calling them based on the fact that they are experienced. They have made mistake before, so you want to learn from their mistake. Another one we want to use is analogous estimating method. I think we used it last week during one of our processes, where we say we put on an analogy. Yes, you can use analogous estimating resource in planning. There are 3 estimations you are going to do. One is estimate activity resources, estimate duration, estimate activity cost. Now, all of these estimate are activity levels. Why not estimate scope? Why not estimate work duration? Why not estimate cost? You are not doing that because activity at the very point where execution happens. The very thing we implement on our daily basis, individual activity. So when we say execute, it is the point where we spend money on activity, where we apply duration on activity, where we utilize resources on activity. That's why we call it estimates are made on an activity level. So since these are all the estimates, it means the method, these 3 methods will be used across all of them because they are similar. You understand? Now, another technique we use in estimating resources, like we said, is analogous estimation method. Now, what does it mean? It means that we need to just use what we call analogy. We want to draw analogy between two similar things. For example, you cannot draw a Brazilian hair with bottled water. There's no similarity. But of course, you can say Brazilian hair and Bond Street. You can draw a similarity with that. Am I correct? Ladies in the house, am I correct?
Yes, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good, beautiful. So when we say analogous, it means that we are comparing it with two similar things. And that's how it works. You understand? The next one is parametrics. I also explained what parametrics means last week. This time around, we are not basing it on analogy. We are basing it on an actual data. Yes, metrics means data. You understand? Metrics mean number. So the all those small numbers, when you put it together, what are you going to get? If it takes 3 people to finish a 6-day activity, how many people will it take to finish similar work in 8 days? You understand? It takes 3 people to finish a work in 6 days. Now, for them to finish that same work, how many days will 8 people take to finish that same work? So those are numbers, those are figures. You understand? So you can see all of this involve data analysis. At the end of the day, you will have all of your activity resources with their corresponding labor, material, and equipment that you will need to carry out all of your activity. So if you have 30 activities, for example, the material, the equipment for those activities, all of them, you will have spread them all across each of the activity. And we call it resource and requirement. So for every estimate you make, always state the condition. It is very important. When you make estimates, always state the condition. For example, if you are making an estimate today for a client and you have checked the market, this is today's rate in the market, you will base your estimate on that day's market, because the following day, there is possibility that price of material will jump. You understand? So whenever you are estimating, always estimate it based on the current trend. Yes, you understand. So we call it basis of estimates. So let's say, for example, your project, you needed 15 persons. 15 persons are required, and they say, okay, they are going to give you 10 from the organization. It means that 5 is going to be recruited from outside. Now, you need to make it clear so that tomorrow when the project fails, they're not going to say, okay, now you. And whereas they didn't provide you with everything that you need. Remember, we said not everything is going to be given to you in your project. So any condition which your estimate is based on, please state it. Because tomorrow, if you begin ask you, oh boy, it be like saying, are you course where our project no finish? You understand? So expert judgment, analogous estimating, parametrics estimating are the estimating method we need to use when we are planning for our resources. The next one is plan communication management. If you want your project to go very well, you need to communicate. It is very, very important. If you want your project to go well, communicate. Please, I beg you, no matter how much you make tomorrow, no matter the amount of money you make tomorrow, please do not stop communicating with people who were there when you have not made it. Do not stop communicating with people who were there when it wasn't rosy. It is very, very important to communicate. I always say it, most projects that failed is lack of communication. For me, I recently ended a 5 years loyalty relationship. Yes, I deliberately ended it. And what was the reason? Because communication became one-sided. It was beginning to give me a bad image. And I value my image. They say a good name is better than good, no be so? Yes, so I valued it. So please, if you want your project to succeed, communicate. It is very, very vital. So please, as you go on in your project, carry your stakeholders along. You understand? It's very, very important. Carry your stakeholders along. Of course, what are the things you are going to need when you plan communication? Communication requires analysis. Remember when we're talking in mapping of our stakeholders, some stakeholders want me you call them, explain things to me. Some stakeholders just drop they like to read documents, just drop it on the chat box. Drop it on the chat box. I'll go through it, or drop it on our Telegram group. I'll read it from there, or send it to me on my email. When I'm going through my email, I'm going to look at it. You understand? So if you have done stakeholders mapping, you know how to communicate with them. Very, very important. So you know the medium you are going to use, the technology you are going to use. Of course, you are going to be using the interactive method. You are going to use the push and the pull method. You understand? Then, of course, when it comes to interpersonal skill, you also need to be aware of their political background. What is this person's political background? If this person belongs to a certain political party, what kind of a discussion do you want to have with such stakeholders? You need to be sensitive. You need to be culturally aware. You understand? Very, very important. You need to be emotionally intelligent. Cultural awareness. Presently, our Muslim brothers and sisters are fasting. Is it the time, as a project manager in the morning, you now begin to discuss food with them? You need to know their cultural background, cultural awareness. You understand? Then, of course, expert judgment. These are the mediums that will help you to manage your communication. Very, very important. And we have said there are possibility ways of communication. You understand? And we say in a project where we have 10 stakeholders, there are 45 potential communication channels. When you do that math, you will see it. There are 45 potential communication channels. And that's how you go about planning your communication. All of the things I've just explained are what is on the slide. I am flipping through. Push, pull, and all of that. Of course, the project manager should decide based on communication requirement what, how, and when communication methods are to be used in the project. The interpersonal skills I just mentioned, the cultural awareness I just mentioned, all of them. Please make sure to go through this detailed slide of the note. The next thing I want to look at is risk. How do you plan risk management? There are steps. To do this effectively, you need to create a risk management plan that covers these key areas. What are the key areas that this risk response cover? One is the methodology. You want to define the specific tools and data source you will use. For example, are you going to be using digital software or you are going to be using an Excel spreadsheet? The next thing you want to consider is the role and responsibilities. Who is the risk owner? Why you handle the strategy. Another thing you want to look at is budgeting. Who is responsible for allocating funds for risk management activity? You need contingency reserve. Another thing you want to look at is timing. Define when and how often you will perform risk assessments. Maybe every Monday after meeting, we will go do risk assessment. Then we'll check where risk they come. Then you also want to do what we call RBS, which is under the risk category. Create a risk breakdown structure. This helps you to look for risks in specific bucket mix like the technical area, the external, the organizational shortage, and all of that. You understand? I think when I was in Brunei last year, and there is also this there's this project we usually carried out. I've forgotten the name now, but you go and do an assessment. The assessment is on an existing structure that has collapsed but has not collapsed to the ground finally. So we categorize them. We categorize them as high, medium, and low. So if it is high, it means that the damage is very, very severe. If it is medium, it means that the damage is still 50-50. If it is low, it means that the damage is just 75%. That's how we categorize it. So when we categorize it, we'll now place it on a scale of preference. We look at the one that is of immediate response. You understand? That's how we plan it. So the probability now comes in place. We must agree whether it is high risk, and we must agree whether it has low impact. We must agree whether it has high impact. Now, let's look at this this question. In terms of responsibility and support, ladies in the house, in terms of responsibility and support, guys in the house, this question is for you. In terms of responsibility and support, getting married to the first daughter of the family or the last daughter of the family, which one has high risk? Which one has low risk? Use the chat box. Getting married to a family, getting married to the first daughter of a family or the last daughter of a family, which one has high risk? Which one has low risk? You can use the chat box. Low risk, last daughter. Ransom say low risk. First daughter, high risk. Last born is with low risk. Okay. All right, let's look at the scenario. Let's look at our table. And let's be sure. Getting married to the first daughter is a high risk. Last daughter is a low risk. All right. So the scenarios, we have the scenarios here. I always love this fact. So let's look at it. Yes, scenario based, marrying the first daughter, marrying the last daughter. So marrying the first daughter, you guys are saying the probability, how likely is the extra burden rather? You say it is high. Am I correct? You are saying it is high. Let me look for my pen. So you say it is high, right? Yes, so now let's look at impacts. How much will it affect your project budget and time? Is it going to be critical, moderate, or low? Critical, moderate, or low? The impact now, is it going to be critical, moderate, or low? Critical, low. Critical, okay. So let's say you are marrying the first, you are marrying the first daughter, you need to also train her in school. So it's going to be critical, okay? Yes. So what is the risk? Is the risk high, medium, or low? Is that? Very high. Okay. This is very high. Have you married a first daughter before? No. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at second scenario, marrying the last daughter. Yes. How likely is the extra burden? Is it going to be high, medium, or low? How low is the extra burden? Very low, because there's every possibility that the first daughter has married, so she can share knowledge with the last daughter of how she can save cost. Maybe, for example, our wedding gown, she can just give it to her younger sister to use. How much will it affect your project budget and time? Is it going to be critical, moderate, or low? The time you use in planning, the money you are going to spend is going to be low, right? Yes, since you have done wedding before, the first daughter can just say, let's use the same hall now, where we use for you, where I use for myself. You understand? We can do that. Then, of course, what is the risk score? Is it high, medium, or low? Okay, low, sometimes moderate. Okay, fine. Let me highlight that. Yes. Chiamaka is saying low. Justice for first daughter. So, justice for first daughters. So we have been able to take a risk assessment matrix table. We have been able to look at it. So in your project, please always look out for where there is a risk. Always look out for where there is risk. Let me clean that. Always look out for where there is risk. Erase. Guys, do we understand what we just did? Did we understand what we just did?
Yes, sir.
Or
Yes, sir.
we just did what we call risk assessment metrics table, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. It is also the same thing we did for responsibility metrics, accounting for resources, right? Yes, please be taking note of all of these things we are doing, especially when it comes to table. It's very, very important in managing projects. You understand? Of course, we need to also identify risk. We have been able to analyze the risks, so we need to identify risk. So if we are building skyscraper, what risk can we anticipate? Somebody may fall off from the high roof, not so. That's the risk that we can anticipate. Remember, you have risk experts. You call them, you talk to them. This project where I want to help me check them, identify the risk where we fit come up. Now, because they are risk experts, they begin to tell you, okay, for this project, these are the risks that are likely to happen. You understand? A risk is any uncertain event or condition that might affect your project. A risk is any uncertain event or condition that might affect your project. You understand? Imagine you want to build 6 stories building, and you quantify that you are going to use 30 tons of granite on getting on that site. You jam rock. As you are starting your work, you jam rock. Then you guys decided that, okay, you are going to blast that rock into smaller granite. You got over 60,000 tons. The rock will impact into your schedule, but it will also save you costs. That's what it means. You understand? So not all risks are negative. Some risks are positive. Do we understand it? Yes. Not all risks are going to be what? Negative. Some risks are positive. Positive risk. You understand? So positive risk means, in this case, we went to a site, we need 60,000 tons of granite. We got to the site, as we build, we jam rock. We decided to blast that rock, and we got the tons of granite that we needed. In fact, we even got extra. But it impacted on our schedule, but it does what? It saves us cost. That's a positive risk. Please, when you think of risk, don't always look at it from a negative aspect. You understand? Don't always look at it from a negative aspect. Techniques for you to identify risk: brainstorming, like we said. You want to do what we call checklist. You want to check, or remember, you have brought in risk experts. You have had a discussion with them. You have told them the project you are going to carry out. They have told you the possibility of the uncertainties or the uncertainty that will impact on your project. They have highlighted it for you. Now you have a checklist. Then you can do an interview, you can do assumption and constraint analysis, you can do SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats on your project. You can also document the analysis. Then, of course, you do what we call expert judgment. Then, the brainstorming we have mentioned, you can do interview underneath it. You can do assumption analysis, and you can do SWOT analysis, like I've rightly mentioned, document analysis, expert judgment, and so on. So where do we look out for risk? We have been talking about risk. Where do we look out for risk? When we talk risk, where do we look out for risk? 4 areas that you need to look out for risk. All resources promised to you, you may not get them. We have said this over and over. You can't always depend on all the resources you were promised. If you depend on all the resources you were promised, your project will fail. So you cannot always depend on the resources that you were promised. You understand? So that one alone is what? Is a risk. Do we get it? So if you cannot depend on all of the resources that you have been promised, it is what? It is a risk. So you already have it in mind that, this project, when I embark on, they will not give me all of the things that I need. That is number one risk. What is another thing you need to look out for? Where do you look out for risk? The critical part is full of risk. I told us the last time when we were tracing the critical part. What did we say the critical part is? There are two things we mentioned about the critical part. We say critical part is the longest part. The longest part. And we also say the critical part does not have floats. Do we remember?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So when a part does not have float, what does that translate to? What does it translate to? When a part is critical, it does not have a float, what does it translate to? What does it translate to?
It means that you must do the work that was given to you and finish it at that point. You don't have to delay it.
Thank you very much. That's Rose, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that Rose? Good. Thank you very much. It means an activity that cannot be delayed. Activities on the critical part can never be delayed. You must finish it as at when due. You understand? So when you know this is also a risk. If we say we have a critical activity, an activity that cannot be delayed, is a risk. So as we start this activity, we must finish them on time. Now risk. So anything you want to do, you need to put them in place. You understand? So it's a risk. So let's say you have, then the third one is assumption. Number 3 is assumption. So at the beginning of your project, you have this guy, you always come early to work. Yes. So when you are now going for a new project, you told yourself, I'm putting this guy in my team. The reason is because he usually comes early to work. So I know that area is covered. But on starting that new project, the guy started coming to work late. Yes, and the reason why he started coming to work late is simply because he has moved to a new area. So it takes him time for him to come to the office. Now, you acted based on assumption. Now that it has become the way it is, in your project, you have already counted this person to be somebody who resumes on time. But you need to now go back to that your document and document it that this person is now a risk. He doesn't come to work on time anymore. So it has become a risk. So this is where you look out for risk. When you assume and things are no longer going based on what you assume, that becomes a what? A risk. What is another place you can look out for risk? Outside the project. New rule, new regulation, new law. You remember this year, they say tax. So if you don't get tax number, if you don't do this one, nobody will do business with you. They will shut down your business. 30% of your money will be deducted and all of that. New rules. You understand? All of these things can affect our project. You understand? So those are the things. So risk can be anywhere. Are we together? Risk can be anywhere. Then of course, at the end of the day, you are going to have your risk register. Record all your project risks you identify in the document. Such record, we call it risk register. And that risk register will contain details of identifying individual project risk, their probability and the impact, the likelihood that it was going to occur, the information that needs, the response strategy for each of them, and the individual response for those risks. You understand? Those are what you need to do. Seems like I jumped something. Let me see. Did I jump anything? Let me be sure. Because how do you respond to risk after you have identified risk? Okay, I didn't jump anything. So let's make progress. So the final thing we are doing today, before we call it a day, is perform qualitative and quantitative risk analysis. Now let's look at it. In our risk analysis that we just did, the marriage risk, right? We say the first daughter, if you want to marry the first daughter, there's a lot of high risk. High risk in terms of budget, high risk in terms of what? In terms of impact. Yes, we said it's high risk. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Am I good? Yes. So now how do we perform qualitative and quantitative risk analysis? How do we perform it? Now we must first understand what qualitative and quantitative means. Qualitative told us that the risk in the first daughter is high. Quantitative told us that if we sit down and actually calculate, we'll realize what it will cost us for us to marry the first daughter. The actual amount, that's what quantitative is talking about. So let's assume that when you are going to marry the first daughter, you are going to train her in school. And for the next 4 years that she's going to the university, you are going to be spending 300,000 naira every year. That is 1.2 million. Now, qualitative is saying that you know that you are going to train her in school. That is the risk. You already know that you are going to train her in school. That is qualitative analysis. Okay, I know say I go train her for school. That's qualitative analysis. But quantitative analysis is when you now sit down and say, okay, how much I go really use to train her for school? So now you now know the figure. Okay, 300,000 every year multiplied by 1.2 million. That is quantitative analysis. Quantitative analysis has to do with the real figure. Why qualitative analysis just has to do with the speculations. You understand? Do we understand it? Do we understand what I'm trying to explain? So the qualitative assessment, what it means is that marrying the first daughter is a high risk because extra family responsibility. The result at the end of the day, you know you need to be very careful. You don't know how much exactly you are going to spend, so you need to be very careful. You have identified that the risk is high priority, so you have it on your watch list. Quantitative analysis is saying that based on the current school grade, based on the current school fees, it is going to cost you 300,000 every year for you to train her in school. The result is that you have a figure, you have a number. Do we understand? So in your project, in all the risks you identify, you must perform qualitative and quantitative analysis on each of the risks. That will now make you to have an informed decision. What are the techniques you are going to use? You are going to use risk data quality assessment. You are going to use risk probability and impact assessment. We have used all of this on a metrics table. You are also going to do risk categorization. You are going to use expert judgment. Of course, somebody who has done risk analysis before, who is an expert when it comes to risk. Those are the people you are going to engage in your risk responsibility. You understand? Now, when you are done with your risk, you can now begin to plan how you are going to respond to all of those risks. You have identified your risk, then you are now going to find a way for you to respond to those risks. This is where we are going to stop for today, ladies and gentlemen. We said we are going to spend an hour, 30 minutes, and we actually did keep up to that time. This is where we are going to stop for today. When we come in next week, that is on Saturday, we are going to start from here, plan, risk, and response. All of these risks that we have identified, how do we respond to them? That's what we are going to do on Saturday. Then, of course, we are going to enter execution of our project. So we have been able to take 22 processes, if I'm correct. So it's remaining 2 in planning. Then we are going to add that 2 into our class on Saturday. Thank you very much, everyone. Please If you know that you did not contribute anything to the chat box, please quickly turn in your attendance, put in your name. Just your name, put in your name. If you contributed before, still put in your name. That will serve as those who actually finished the class with us. Thank you very much. Is there any question? Any question? Is there any question? Any question from Raymond? Any question from Fawaz? Any question from Azizat Olajumoke? Rose, any question?
No question, sir. If you have any question, we'll catch you up, sir.
All right, that's fine. Remember, if you have any question, please do well to drop it in the chat box in our platform. Please go back and review your classwork that you did and submit the correct one. Thank you very much, everyone, and I will see us on Saturday. Thank you so much.